New Zealand Tour of England, 3 T20Is are done and dusted with England winning it 2-1. But remember, it was a very close series. You can catch the review of those games. But now in this edition of The Outside View presented by Fast and Up, we are looking forward to 5 ODIs that these two sides will play. First up, let's start by looking at England's squad. It's a 15-member squad and very familiar looking one. There's Tammy Beaumont, Heather Knight, Catherine Brunt. But of course, if you kind of look down the order, there is Lauren Winfield as well as Daniel Wyatt, who returns to the squad after missing out against India. There's no Emily Arlott who was there. There's no Fran Wilson as well. Let's get Ananya into it. Ananya, your first thoughts on this squad, and I want you to answer the conundrum, if we may so say, between Daniel Wyatt and Lauren Winfield-Hill. What do you think will happen there?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and it's a question that kind of popped into my head as soon as I saw the squad. First off, we were surprised that Wyatt was left out of the ODI squad against India. To see her back now, having scored runs in the T20Is. Look, I think it's going to be interesting. I have a feeling England may just give both of them a go at the top of the order, with Beaumont as the steady opener. Winfield-Hill, I feel like it would be, probably would be harsh on her to leave her out at the start, because she did have a solid series against India without probably setting the stage alight. So I'd hope that England stick with Winfield-Hill at least for the first couple of games, and then maybe slot in Wyatt, because it at the end of the day, moving to the World Cup, it's a matchup between the two of them, I think.
Yeah, another look at that squad tells us that Charlie Dean has been selected for the ODIs as well. She made headlines when she was called up for the T20I series. Didn't get a game, Ananya, but we see Charlie Dean and we don't see Fran Wilson. What is this message that the England selectors are sending out?
Well, look, I think they've obviously seen something in Charlie Dean, and Charlie Dean's played alongside Heather Knight for London Spirit, so there's that familiarity factor there. And there's no Maddie Villiers in the squad, so you understand why someone like Charlie Dean has been picked. She's shown great temperament, whether playing the RHF Trophy, whether playing 100 or the Charlotte Edwards Cup. I think she's been in splendid form this season, picking up wickets, scoring crucial runs. So despite not playing in the T20s, it's great to see her in the squad. But as far as Fran Wilson is concerned, I mean, we saw her on the bench against India through that series. She was in the squad, but didn't get a single game. So I think with her, I'd like to hope that it's not the end of the road for her. They've obviously left her out so that she gets game time. She plays domestic cricket, gets runs under her belt. We saw her do well for the Sunrisers in the previous round of the RHF Trophy. So it's probably just about getting her to gain some confidence, get some runs under her belt, and spend some time in the middle rather than spend some time on the bench. Because, with Sophia Dunkley in that middle order, you feel like she's probably not going to get much game time. So it's just better off that she's out in the middle scoring runs and gaining some confidence.
Yeah, fair point there. And no discussion can be complete without talking about England's abundance in the seam bowling department. We know for sure almost that Catherine Brunt and Natalie Silver will start in that 11. 5 ODIs, and there are Kate Cross, Anya Shrubsole, Natasha Farrant. What could be the permutation combination you'd like to see? And is that a pleasant, that's a headache to have for England, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a happy headache for England. I mean, we talk about Australia and their pace riches. I think England equally have a huge contingent of very promising seamers. So I'm I guess dependent on whether Anya Shrubsole is fully fit to play. It'll be interesting to see who they pick between Farrant and Cross. Both of them have made good use of the opportunities they've been given. Both are bowling in wonderful rhythm. There's Freya Davies as well as backup. So I think Heather Knight spoke about this at the end of the T20I series, where she said they'll probably have to rotate the seamers. So I'm pretty sure we'll see all 5 of them play. But who will take the field in that first ODI is going to be interesting. It will probably be heavily dependent on whether Shrubsole is fully fit. If she is fit, I assume Cross will be the third seamer, and Farrant will probably miss out.
Let's move on to the New Zealand squad. We talked about the squad in depth in the lead up to the T20. It's the same set of players, but some talking points yet again emerge, Ananya, and none more so than the opening combination. Hayley Jensen again, you think?
Look, I think with Susie Bates having come back, she kind of slots back up the order. And look, Lauren Down had a decent series against Australia. She proved her mettle against the best team in the world. So I think she'll probably take her place in this ODI lineup. She is a very solid batter. So I'd like to see her up the order alongside Bates. And that means that you have Sadath, Divine, Halliday, Martin in that middle order, and it looks like a very, very solid batting lineup. So, how they'll fit in Hayley Jensen, maybe as the fifth or sixth bowler, batting at number 8 or 9. That may be her role in this team. But yeah, I'd like to see Bates and Down open for him.
Right, and look at that New Zealand squad. There's one big name that hasn't taken part yet in this tour. That is Leah Tahu, who didn't play any of the T20Is. Must be something in mind for that New Zealand might have kept ahead of the World Cup, Ananya.
Yeah, well, she is returning from a foot surgery, so there is probably the whole thing of workload management, making sure that they ease her into the tour, and with the World Cup coming up with it less than 6 months, they want to wrap her up in a bubble. I mean, Leah Tahu's had lots of injury issues over the last couple of years, so they'd like to keep her safe, I suppose. And I'm sure she will take part in this ODI series. Whether she plays all 5 games again is going to be the question. But I definitely see her playing at least 3 games, and she will make a huge difference to that side. We saw that New Zealand probably struggled with that 5th bowler in the T20s. The 5th or 6th bowler was leaking runs. So to see Leah Tahu back and rearing against what is a quality English batting lineup is going to be exciting.
But Susie Bates, so her impact, you think, in the series, because I don't think she's fit to bowl. So it's all about Susie Bates, the batter that we might be looking at for the 5 ODIs. Your thoughts on how that could be, if that could fit in the series?
Yeah, well, I said this in the T20I series preview as well, that she looked like she was batting very, very well. The ball was coming off the middle of the bat. So I don't think, she doesn't look like she's struggling at all. It's probably a case of she's easing her way back into international cricket at the end of the day. So I see her having a big impact. Obviously, she is the biggest superstar, I suppose, outside Sophie Devine. So she's definitely going to have a big impact. And just having her there back in the middle, it will give that side a lot of confidence. We saw that on the field as well, just the calmness she brings to the unit, the leadership. So I hope that we see her score a bulk of runs. She loves batting in England, and she loves playing against England as well. That has done very, very well against them. So here's hoping that she gets a few scores.
Right, let's, before closing off, look at some key matchups that could kind of interest everybody. 5 ODIs. Are you going to pick any 1 or 2 key battles that you're looking forward to?
Well, obviously, team pacer, love an in-swinger. So I'm going to say Jessica versus that top England batting lineup. I think she's going to be a handful. She proved that through the T20Is. She caused a lot of trouble for both Wyatt and Beaumont. So I think her versus that top order is going to be interesting. Also, again, from New Zealand, I think Lee Kasparik versus someone like Sophia Dunkley. I thought she bowled very, very well to contain Sophia Dunkley in that T20 series. So those are a couple of battles that I'm looking forward to watching. What about you? Anything that you're keen on seeing?
Yeah, I'm keen to look at how the battle of all-rounders shapes up. Natalie Siver versus Sophie Devine. Either ways. I mean, Siver with the ball and bat against Devine with the ball and bat. So that is one battle that I'm looking forward to. The other, I am going to look at how Sarah Glenn shapes up, because I probably would have said Amelia Kerr, because I love watching her bowl the leg spin. But now that she's not there, I kind of have my eyes on Sarah Glenn and how she does against that New Zealand middle order. So these are a couple of matchups that I'm looking at. Right, there you go. 5 ODIs to come. Remember, these are the longer formats. You can look at us dressed in whites and easily confuse this for a test preview, but sadly it is not. 5 ODIs to be played, the first of which starts Thursday. We'll catch you after the series with a review on this very show, The Outside View, presented by Fast Enough.